RockyYR7507 asked me to create a Biomancer, a character that uses acid and poison techniques to take down their targets. I feel like both poison and acid get left under the rug. There is not that many spells compared to the elements to really showcase how great acid and poison can do, especially if you work them together. Our acid abilities will decrease their AC by 2, while our poison abilities will give them conditions that make all their attacks a disadvantage. We'll also take advantage of all the really awesome infernal hell weapons that add poison damage to our attacks. And then we'll create a loop where when we poison somebody, we'll heal and then use that healing to engage additional poison damage. But the best part is every time we hit someone with our weapon, we'll infect them with nauseous fumes, damaging all of their friends but keeping us safe. That means every time we hit someone, they turn into a DOT of our own making, creating a constant chain of acid damage. We can make 3 targets at once vulnerable to poison damage, and then we can twin high-level rays of sickness to do huge damage and just cut through huge crowds of people. There were so many different ways I could do this build, but I am pretty proud of where it landed. But we'll go through the extra ways that you can take it. Also, big congratulations to Aster C for winning last Sunday's giveaway. He's getting a $100 Amazon gift card. Next Sunday, we're going to be giving away an Eldritch Blast t-shirt to one of the Adventure or higher tier members on the membership. If you wanted to check that out, there's a link in the description, but there are also chapters, so you can skip around and get to the part where you want to see the most. I'll see you at the end. Well, the first level we're going to pick is Sorcerer. We're going to pick Sorcerer, we get Constitution saving throws, which will be a huge help. We're also going to pick the Draconic line. We're going to pick Green Dragon. It gives us the access to Ray of Sickness, which is going to be one of our major damage spells, as well as poison targets, giving them disadvantage on their attacks and abilities. Totally messes them up. This also gives us a +3 to our AC for not wearing armor. Super valuable. We're also going to grab 2 spells. Shield is always definitely something you need to grab at level 1, and Chromatic Orb. Chromatic Orb lets us do either acid or poison or a bunch of other elements, but that's for a different time. Acid is going to lower anyone's AC who is standing in the acid by 2, while poison has a chance to, well, poison them. I would also grab Acid Splash and Poison Spray. Poison Spray is hard to hit because it's a Constitution save, but you know, basically anything that is poison is going to be that. But if you hook it up with Poison Vulnerability and you give him disadvantage on con saves, you got a 6d12 cantrip here, so it could be very useful in the right position. Our next level is also going to be in Sorcerer. We're going to grab Meta Magic Twin Spell. Twin Spell is going to let you cast 2 single target spells on 2 different enemies. Chromatic Orb and Ray of Sickness both count. Our next level is going to go into Warlock. Now, I went Warlock here because I wanted to take advantage of the hell weapons. There's a few of them, and all of them do additional flat poison damage. It's not a dice roll, it's, you know, +6 flat, stuff like that. Because we're going to be using melee weapons to trigger our nauseous fumes, we're going to take a Warlock path. First level in Warlock, we're going to grab the Fiend Patron. The Fiend Patron is going to give us temporary hit points every time we take down an enemy, which is going to be very useful. We're also going to have access to the spell Command, which is one of the best level 1 spells, and Hex. Hex is also incredibly useful. As far as stats go, something I should have talked about when I first talked about level 1, but it's been a weird week, so we're going to roll with it. Stats, I would put 16 in both your Charisma and Dexterity, and then I would put 14 in your Constitution, putting 8 in probably Intelligence, and putting 10s in Strength and Wisdom. Our next level in Warlock is going to open up Incantations. Agonizing Blast is always really good, especially at the first levels. If you needed a good ranged cantrip, you know, that's going to help out a lot. And then I would do Devil's Sight, because having immunity to magical blindness is always super helpful. But our next level in Warlock is going to be the reason why we're even here, is to grab Pact of the Blade. Now we could create a pact with a weapon and then use our charisma modifier instead of strength or dexterity for it. The first real poison weapon you're going to find is dex based, but everything else is strength based, so getting your charisma swapped in instead of it is going to be a huge help. As far as second level spells, Misty Step was one that I used quite a bit, and then I would consider doing Mirror Image. Mirror Image is a super helpful defensive spell. It's not concentration, and if you're a squishy boy at the front lines, it's going to be a lot of help. Our next level in Warlock is going to give us a feat so we can bring our charisma modifier up to an 18. Now back into Sorcerer, our third level opens up another meta magic, so we can now use Quicken Spell. Quicken Spell lets us spend 3 sorcerer points to cast a spell on our bonus action. I use it a lot using my main action to attack, and then hitting people with Ray of Sicknesses and Poison Spray with my bonus action. Our next level opens up an additional feat for our Sorcerer. This is a choice for you, actually. I played it several different ways. I spent a whole day with this guy, running him through tests, and I tried Polearm Master first. Polearm Master gives you an ability to hit somebody with your bonus action after you hit them with your main action, and I was hoping that I could trigger my Caustic Ban and Icarus Gloves combination to do additional acid damage and then create the nauseous fumes that will follow the target. But it looks like the butt weapon doesn't really work for that. The acid damage doesn't trigger, so the gloves don't trigger. But having the ability to do a reactionary attack when people enter your area was a helpful way to do more damage and spread the fumes. Or you can just increase your charisma modifier up to 20. It's up to you. Both are very helpful, just in different ways. Our next level in Sorcerer opens up 3rd level spells. This is super fun because now we can get to more weird poison stuff. Stinking Cloud is a concentration spell with a huge area of effect. It does not do damage, but if they fail a concentration save, they are unable to use any actions. It's very similar to what ghouls use. If you have control of the area that you're fighting in, this is a great way to control the field and stop your targets from doing literally anything. I would also grab Hypnotic Pattern for basically the same reason as Stinking Cloud. Hypnotic Pattern will completely stop them in their tracks from doing any kind of movement or bonus action. It will only last 2 rounds, and the area of effect is so huge it's hard not to grab one of your friends. I grab both of these and then use it depending on what situation you're in. Our next level in Sorcerer is going to unlock our Draconic ability, giving us the ability to add our Charisma modifier to any poison spell damage. You also get a new meta magic, and it sucks. If you spend 1 sorcery point, you're able to choose the ability to have resistance to poison. For this build is poison. It would be any element that you chose when you picked your dragon ancestry. It's whatever. I would actually jump back into Warlock after this. I would move my Warlock level to 5, giving up Deeper Pact, allowing us to do a second attack. That way, we can continue attacking and spreading our nauseous fumes to every target as possible. And for our last level, I would go back to Sorcerer, unlocking 4th level spell slots. But as there aren't really any spells that match the vibe, unfortunately Cloud Kill is going to be too high of a level for us to grab here. I probably would just grab Blight and move on with my life. We wanted that extra level spell slot to do additional damage with the spells that we already have, so it's going to be useful. As far as equipment goes, the weapon I used the most was the Hellbeard Halberd. This is a halberd that you can purchase as soon as you get to Baldurs Gate from the Devil's Fee. This is a +2 halberd with the ability of doing 6 poison damage every time you hit somebody. This halberd is especially useful for spreading nauseous fumes, which we'll get to as soon as we get to the gloves. The damage is totally solid, the reach is fantastic. It also comes with the cleave ability, allowing you to hit 3 people at once. This thing totally kicks ass. But that's a long time away. Until then, I suggest using Thornblade. This is a great way to add poison damage to your attacks. You can purchase it straight from Daemon in Act 2 as soon as that starts. As long as you're concentrating on a spell, which you will be quite a lot, this will do additional D4 poison damage with every hit. It also spreads to everything you're holding, so if you had an offhand dagger you wanted to chink some with, that'll also have poison damage. But we're not going to have to wait too long at all to add poison damage to literally any weapon we want to use. The Broodmother's Revenge is an amulet that you can find off of Kagra if you decide not to make her see the light, so to speak, during the confrontation with the Shadow Druids. You peel this really cool amulet off of her dead body, allowing you to do a d6 of poison damage to any of your weapons as long as you heal during that round. And we can get that added to our weapons without actually using an action to heal ourselves if we use things like the Deviation Cloak. This cloak heals you a d4 every time you poison a foe. That way you can use your Ray of Sicknesses to get everyone down, add that d6 to you, and get some health at the same time. You can also use something like the Ring of Salvation, which does take a precious ring slot, but will automatically heal you at the beginning of every turn, therefore constantly hitting the Broodmother's amulet up. And to make sure that our targets are poisoned, we'll use the Lacerate weapon skill that comes from the Halberd. This skill makes the target bleed, which takes additional slashing damage over time, but it also gives them disadvantage on all Constitution saving throws. And while they're in that position, we'll hit them with the Poisoner's Ring. This gives us a skill called Virulent Venom. Wow, that's really hard to say. It'll be on the screen. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it with my mush mouth. You can choose 3 targets with this ring as an action. They'll have to make a Constitution saving throw. If they fail it, for 2 rounds, they are vulnerable to poison damage, meaning that our poison damage will be doubled. The Zentirium trader in Act 2 will sell this ring. Now for the other ring that is a definite must. The Caustic Band is a ring that you can buy in Act 1 in the Underdark from the Dwarf trader. This adds 2 points of acid damage to every weapon attack, which isn't that much damage. In Act 2, in a chest at the tavern in the Shadowlands, you'll find the Icarus gloves. These gloves will add something called Nauseous Fumes to a target if you hit them with acid damage. This triggers off our 2 points of acid damage from our Caustic Band, then turning that target into a walking DPS for us. Around them, you'll see a green ring that will affect anybody that is on their side, not yours, dealing 1d4 acid damage every turn. You'll infect them with this like a virus. Every time you hit to them, they will spread it around, hurting everyone on their side and leaving your team untouched. As far as the other ways that you could do this build, if you did not want to use melee and you wanted to go full sorcery whiz boy, you could skip Warlock almost entirely, actually just entirely. You could take Sorcerer, all 10 levels of Sorcerer, and leave 2 left for Wizard. At level 2, a Wizard gets to be able to pick a skill of magic that they focus on as their subclass. If you pick Necromancy, you'll get a skill called Grim Harvest. This heals you damage compared to what spell slot you used to kill a target. If that skill happens to be from the Necromancy school list, then that healing will be tripled, and Ray of Sickness happens to be from that list. I would just grab those 2 Wizard levels instead of the Warlock levels and go back into Sorcerer all the way until you're done. Hey everybody, I hope you liked my video. I'd like to thank all of my supporters, but especially these guys right here. Everybody from the Adventure or higher tier list on the YouTube memberships gets to be put in the ending credits, and they get entered into a weekly raffle that pulls every Sunday. Let me know in the comments what you think my next build should be, and I'll see you guys around. Bye, I love you.